Presented by McFarland Energy, the region's most dependable provider for home heating oil, including bioheat, as well as expert HVAC services at McFarlandEnergy.com.
You know, there's only one way to celebrate your 30th wedding anniversary.
What's that?
And that is to sit here where you find folks yelling McFarland.
Oh, happy anniversary, Ron.
Wow. The 30th wedding anniversary.
I got married at -5. It's amazing. It's unbelievable.
Today's the actual anniversary?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's how I'm, yeah.
Happy.
There's no better group of people I'd rather celebrate than
Happy anniversary, Bradford. 30 years.
You.
I mean, that's
McFarland, yeah.
That's
for an anniversary present, can your wife give you glasses with two things on them?
No, they've broken multiple times. Listen, it's a rough business, you know, this podcasting, and it gets down and dirty. You do it. You try to get Tristan Cassis to come in studio. You're gonna break your glasses.
Well, that's true. You're
it's gonna happen.
Busting your hump to get that done.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
I think he went to the wrong building, so it's gonna happen.
Too bad.
Who knows?
He didn't go to Florida.
And you know, once he gets somewhere, you know he's striking up a conversation and do it. Like he probably went to the bowling.
You know what?
He went to the bowling alley, and right now he's partaking in some candle pins.
I think he did it out of respect to Ryan. He said, "You know what? I don't want to move in on your turf too much. I want to make sure. I want to clear the air before I come in here and start pushing all these
game
buttons."
recognized game.
And so that makes sense.
But he didn't go to Miami.
No, I don't think he went to Miami. I mean,
maybe.
Maybe.
But I'm just saying, he's not like traveling with the team like that.
Nah, from what I understand, he wasn't traveling with a team. Although that would make sense. He's from Miami, and there's a lot going on, and who doesn't want to go to Miami? So, right?
So we'll get
South Beach show.
We'll get Cassis in here.
Go.
That's a promise. We're going to get Cassis in here at some point. I want to ask you about your understanding of, and we've asked you about the Red Sox selling. We've asked you about John Henry's interest in the Red Sox a million times. What's your understanding of his interest in buying an NBA franchise?
I heard he wants to buy an NBA franchise, but I've been thinking a lot about, well, does that make sense with the Celtics? And I don't think it does, because I don't think he wants another franchise in Boston. And you see how things are going with John Henry now with the Red Sox. We've talked a lot about this, about how it has sort of evolved and changed. And, you know, he went from this guy for the first 10 or 15 years of let's go, I'm in it for the community, like all the things that we're talking about with Grousbeck, kind of, right? The perception was sort of the same, even though he was from St. Louis. But now, Pittsburgh is a lot nicer place. Liverpool isn't so bad. And, by the way, this go back to John Henry's roots, which is the ultimate friendly place of all time in sports, St. Louis, where it's just the great game of baseball is the real winner, everybody.
Right.
I don't care about the scoreboard. So I think that the slings and arrows that come with owning a team in Boston, he is well aware of, but does he want to double down on that with the Celtics?
So that kind of surprises me, because I heard the midday show talking about what the expansion price will be if they wait out to get an NBA expansion team in the future, and that it may actually be more cost effective for someone trying to get in from the complete outside, like Fenway Sports Group, to buy up the Celtics instead. And so I'm wondering, like, is it really so personally tough for John Henry that he would go, I can't deal with these fans even longer during the year?
Yeah, I mean, Mego,
like I can't deal with them 12 months a year?
I'm not definitively saying, hey, John Henry told me he doesn't want to deal with the Boston fans, double down on this. I'm just looking at it as, well, you know, we can't just draw a straight line. This guy is a local owner. He wants to buy an NBA team, and so he's going to buy this NBA team, and it makes all the sense in the world. It's a good point about the expansion stuff. And I don't even know, like, if he's going to be able to get any deal done. It's all, you know, listen, I want to buy an NBA franchise too. An NBA franchise for you and you and you. So, but doesn't mean that he's absolutely going to get it done. And I know that when people talk about John Henry owning the Celtics, they have every right to be like, yeah, nah, because of the way that he's started doing business with the Red Sox and with the Penguins and with Liverpool. It's not terrible. They're still spending money, but there is still that element of, there isn't like what we're seeing right now with the Celtics, which is everybody, let's pay everybody. Let's go. We get paid in parade.
Well, including himself.
Parade parentheses. You know, so it's, yeah, I mean, there's probably better options out there, and that's just to come back to it. That's just my sort of hypothesis when it comes to John Henry.
Isn't Wick selling kind of validating for John Henry in a way? Like, see, if you want to go out and spend like that, you can't. It's not sustainable. He couldn't even make it 1 year really after they won the championship, and he's got to cash out. John Henry probably looks at that and says, "Yeah, see, I'm not so bad. I've been doing it this way, and I'm still here." You know, like that. In some ways,
yeah. But look at before he started doing this way, there were all these world championships. There was 2004,
sure.
7, 13, and 18, and that was probably pretty good for business. Where it took a turn was
he spent those years.
Yeah, he spent those years,
right.
And guess what? Business was good. You know, they didn't have to. Alex Cooper wasn't throwing out the first pitch. You know, nothing against Alex Cooper.
What's wrong with Alex Cooper?
Nothing. I'm just saying.
It brings more fans to the stadium is what it
like that's
right. No, it's
thing.
not. No. But the point is that they didn't have to rely on the Fenway experience, bobblehead nights, certain people throwing out the first pitch. Listen, Alex Cooper, friend of baseballs are boring, right? Obviously. But it's.
I didn't see her.
Did you get a bunch of new fans from that, by the way?
Oh, she did?
Oh, yeah.
She absolutely had
I
a shirt.
missed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Wow.
Of course.
Did you get a bunch of chick fans now?
I mean, it's my demographic. Listen, I've been wearing my hat.
I've never seen.
I've been wearing my hat
before.
How are you
backwards
going to
all
ask
day.
that on the man's 30th wedding anniversary day? How you going to get him in the hot water?
How do we get that chick fan market?
Yeah, try to explain Alex Cooper to A, my parents, and B, my wife was a feat. So I think that it's just when they were going through those championships, it was great for business. They didn't have to rely on this. So if anything, it showed you if you do win, it is good for business, and it'll be good for business for the Celtics. I think with the Red Sox, where it sort of took a turn was this idea of Tampa has won as many games as we have, if not more, and look at the way they're doing it. And I was like, okay, all right, fine, super. But look at, they're also drawing nothing. And also it's Tampa. It's not the same. But they were enamored with that idea. And I think that that's sort of what this whole thing has been rooted in when it comes to the Red Sox approach to how they've been doing things for the last 5 years.
Okay, this weekend is interesting timing for this discussion. And it's Rob Bradford, Baseball Isn't Boring podcast, and WEEI here on Jones and Mego with Arcand, as he is each and every Tuesday at 4:30. This weekend was a bit of a throwback, right? Orsillo was here for the first time in however long. Bogarts was back, not that he played. And so what was that like? I mean, you were there. You're at the ballpark. What was that like with them back? And was that, I don't know, was there animosity there? Was that digging up old memories to a better time when they invested in the team? Like, what was that weekend like with those two back?
Honestly, well, I think that, Don's comments, I think in Sean McAdams' article were pretty pointed. And I don't blame him, and we all know how Don has felt from minute one. I remember the press conference that he had, or impromptu press conference when the news came out that they were moving on from him. So this is no surprise about his animosity and continued animosity.
He had a great line where he's like,
right.
I still love those other teams. They didn't fire me.
Right, exactly. I mean, right. I mean, that's okay. That's I can't begrudge that. With Bogarts, it kind of felt like we've done this. We did it last year. It's a couple of years out. It is what it is. Yeah, you screwed up the negotiations the year before he became a free agent. It had nothing to do with the 11-year offer. It had everything to do with the spring training before. He would have been a perfect fit. I think that his career at the all said and done would have been better off. We don't know what it's going to look like in San Diego, but my guess is would have been better off as a Red Sox, like other guys. So I do think that's to answer your question, Adam. I don't know if anyone's like, oh my goodness, I can't. This is so heart wrenching. No, I think the biggest takeaway was the Phillies and the Yankees and some of the other teams, which was 40%, if not more, of the crowd, probably more, were Padres fans.
That's wild. Like we saw, Arcand, you know this. We were talking about it with Andy Hart was with us on Friday, and I'm like, there's not normally this many fans here this early. I'm like, you see that we saw it with like the Dodgers last. I was shocked.
The Dodgers had their thing last year was this fan group that picks like they did to the Bronx this year, and they
pick a trip.
They pick a trip, and
this was shocking to me because I didn't realize there were this many Padres fans. I said it early. I'm like, we walk by tours all the time when we're there, right, Mego? You know this. You weren't there on Friday, but we walk by tours all the time. There's always an opposing team. It was all Padres. I was surprised the Padres fan base took over the ballpark.
One of the things the Padres have the best attendance in Major League Baseball, which is kind of nutty. And so, but you go back to it, and the attendance this year for the Red Sox hasn't been bad. It's been in about 30, 31, top tier, I think, in the MLB, certainly. But the thing is that a big, huge chunk of it has been made of these other teams.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it had made for great atmosphere. The Phillies and the Yankees and now the Padres, you get this back and forth and you get, everything get going. But that has been a big chunk of this. So when you go back to Tom Werner proclamation, which he let it slip out, hey, people are going to come for the Fenway experience, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. I mean, whether it's, the Alex Cooper fans who are going for the first time or whether it's the Padres fans on vacation, people are coming and they'll continue to come. And what you want to see, though, is that dynamic that you had in that Yankee series, which was when Derek White stood up in his baseballs and boring shirt and said, hey, listen, this is how good it can be.
McFarland!
McFarland. Exactly. So this is how good it can be. So anyway, so the Padres thing, I think that was the biggest takeaway.
Bradford, back in April, the overall pitching from the Red Sox had an ERA of 2.71. Their entire season so far, 3.64. But over the last 30 days, it's been 4.35.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like the rotation is not performing the same way that they did earlier in the season. Even Tanner Houck had that super rough outing. Bayo, it seems to have really started a slide. Is this the product of, hey, what we saw earlier was just completely unsustainable and it was something fresh and new, but they can't carry it through August and September? Or is it more of a speed bump in a really long season?
I think it's the first part is it isn't sustainable. I mean, that level isn't sustainable. It just isn't. Doesn't mean they're going to be bad, but to have a 2-something ERA with this group of starters wasn't sustainable. I think there is absolutely some cause for, you got to be wary here a little bit. Houck has already reached his, career high in innings. I mean, you're going into uncharted territory with a lot of these guys. You don't know what you get from Bayo. You're up and down with Pivetta. Cutter Crawford, same thing. You're up and down. So if we're going to talk about what this team, if they feel like they are in it and they feel like they want to invest in something, then there is an undeniable thing that they should invest in, and that's exactly this, which is starting pitching. One way or the other, whether it's someone to get you to the finish line or someone who can start a postseason game if you get there. But anything else, because of everything that we talked about, you have to get somebody in there that you say, all right, we know what you're going to get with that.
Marcelo Mayer, Kyle Teal going to be in the All-Star Future Games roster. Roman Anthony's going to be there for the skills competition. Is that good for the overall farm system, just like having those guys out there, getting some national attention? Does that sort of raise all boats,
Yeah, I mean, I think that, probably what is more striking is that I think Baseball America came out with their latest list, and you have 2-3 guys in the top 25 in all of baseball, which is, that wasn't what it was a couple of years ago. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a step in the right direction, but at the same time, Nick York was in the Futures game last year, and Nick York is having a fine year in Worcester. That's fine, but we can't just say, oh, look at all these guys are at the Futures game. Yay, the problem solved. I keep saying this, is that all these people are talking about these guys coming up and saving the day. This isn't how baseball works in this day and age. Position players don't come up usually, and all of a sudden be, boom, there it is. You're a superstar. Jackson Holliday went 1 for 37. He's pretty good and is going to be pretty good. But you take your lumps. Mike Trout gets sent down before he got going again. This is just how it works. So, but it's a step in the right direction. And it is notable. You talk about the Padres, the guy, Jackson Merrill, who absolutely tore up the Red Sox.
Yeah, he liked Fenway.
First, same round as Marcelo Mayer, 27th overall pick, high school shortstop, good for the Padres. I mean, they nailed that pick. But, and Meyer was set back for a year because of the injury. But I love looking at that draft and saying, okay,
guys are here.
There's another guy, the guy taking 2 spots after Marcelo, Jordan Lawler, made the major leagues last year.
Yeah.
So this is, Marcelo's doing his thing. He's doing his part, I think. But when you get to next year, when you get to spring training, and we're talking about all this stuff off of the Patriots' 2-win season, like getting ready for another draft, right? Like, so that is going to be like, what is Marcelo Mar going to do? Because it is time for you to be in the major leagues.
Okay. We'll circle back to some of this because we talked about it earlier this year. No shotties coming up this year. I wonder if we'll see him at some point this year. But you know more than me, Bradfo. By the way, the Twitch chat wants to know about what's going on with your lovely swing juice hat. What's going on with the rim? The rim looks like
the brim.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's not flat.
Yeah, no. It's,
Usually it is like this.
Yeah, guys, what's throwing them off? They're used to seeing the flat brim.
Yeah. That's it. How did he age so quickly? Because I drove it in a car, not a skateboard like I usually do.
Nice.
It's all out of respect to my wife on our 30th
Well, I was
going to
say, well, why don't you go enjoy your 30th wedding anniversary? We appreciate the time.
We're gonna go see Michael Jackson play or something like that.
Ooh.
Is that a thing?
And he's wearing his finest swing juice hat.
I don't think that he's starring in it, but
he's not.
I'm flying.
No, I know.
I'm
It's the
flying
Michael
blind
Jackson
on this.
musical. I know what you're talking
Is
about.
it any good?
MJ the musical.
MJ the
Is
musical.
it any good?
Yeah.
What do you, Ryan? Come on.
I've not
what
seen
do you
it.
get?
I don't know.
5 stars?
But now
I'd give it 6 if I was
All
allowed
right.
to.
So we call that a baseballs and boring because that's what everyone rates the podcast at 6 stars. Let's go.
now I know why Tristan Cassis didn't come though. It was going to be a third wheel going to
Right.
the MJ show.
What do you think? What do you think I'm meeting? Yeah, I'm meeting him right now. Let's go.